So this is a like one and only time you're gonna have a comic call this early, unless there's a special occasion. This was, but it was something that was kind of like I could do it again, but I was like, yeah, no, I like waiting till the end. Then and all the shipping stuff happened. I was like, you know what, I'm fine with waiting till the end of the month. That's fine, whatever. Um, or I'm fine with doing all at once kind of thing. Without further ado, let's get into it. Two of these books are different than your average comic. Technically three, I guess you could say, but not really. All right, so first one up is Black History in Its Own Words. No, I was not planning to get this I wasn't planning. I didn't get this like purposefully because it was Black History Month. This is written by a writer called Ronald Wimberly, and it was one of two of Ronald Wimberly's image work. Now, this is not a comic book. This is just a bunch of quotes and junk associated with pictures. Like, it's basically all just this. And I don't think you would get a two-page spread. Nope. It's literally all of this. Just quotes from people and then showing it like that. And did they double dip? No, they don't. Okay, good. So give two quotes for each person. That's all it is. Now this one I got for $5, so I was like, you know what? Why not? Why not do that? Why not get this last book that Ronald Wimberly has done? Screw it. But it's something like Dave Chappelle, like quotes from Dave Chappelle, who I really respect. Spike Lee, same dealio there. I like how they have a QR code in the back of this book. I got it from a third-party seller, and it says "instant quote." It's funny because this book is the book of quotes. But yeah, that's all this is. This a lot like how it was with Me the People, a book I got last year. It was January though, not February. This is just a novelty book. I just like, you know what? Well, why not get it? But I probably won't. Like, I'll read it like all in one sitting, and it won't be that much of a hassle, and I won't like count as. And it's one of those things. I'll still have my comic shelf though, 'cause it does still have the Image logo. And this I got used very good. That's why I was able to get it for so cheap. Little bit bent spine, bent corners, but other than that, it's completely immaculate. And that's why I don't mind getting used very good hardcovers, because 9 out of 10 times just cosmetic, and because it's a hardcover, because of the way hardcovers are made, usually the interior is fine, like completely immaculate. If it's a soft cover, they took off the hardcover and replaced it with the soft cover, they could pass it off as used like new. That's basically how it is. That's why I like hardcovers so much, and I used very good. This next one is actually a floppy. Now, the last floppy I bought for myself. I don't know how long ago it was. It's used been like times like this where it's like it's been like where it's a gift, like Unruly Simeon, the guy who will occasionally do the AOK shipments. That's acts of kindness shipments. He will give me 2 floppies. The usually ones are worth a little bit more, so I don't take them out. They're Mylars. But this one I will be. Actually, I'm planning to read this before the end of the month, because it's a 1-issue floppy, might as well, and it's a one-shot. And that is Dread the Halls. Image says 0 of 1, but everywhere else it says a one-shot. So, I don't know. But this is written by Jordan Hart and Chris Ryall, and I think Lee Ferguson is the artist. Let's see. Let's crack open this book that I already cracked open, so it's not the first time. Because I want to make sure the book was in good condition. But yeah, it was... Alright, so written by Jordan Hart and Chris Ryall. Art by Lee Ferguson, almost said Lee Luthridge. Jimmy Kujak, Walter Pax, and Fabio Veraz. And then covers by Maria Wolf, Marguerite Sauvage, Jordan Hart. I didn't know he's also an artist. And then Lee Ferguson. And Logos Design Production. I gotta redo that. And I will show the interior artwork. I know it's a floppy, but I'll still show it. And it looks like there's 2 stories in here, and one's written entirely by Jordan Hart, and the other one entirely by Chris Ryall. Let's see. Just double check that. That'd be nice to find out. Yeah, so far that seems to be the case. I always like that. I always like when there's an anthology book or the book, there's a trade, and a trade says, oh, co-authored by this person, and instead of the whole book being co-authored, sometimes it's like, oh, issues 1 through 4 Jordan Hart did, and then issue 5 was done by him and Chris Ryall. And the reason why I hate co-authors is because usually I'm getting a book for just that one author, and I don't know there's I know there's 2 authors until I have the book in my hands, and I'm doing it like live here, like right at this moment. It looks pretty interesting. It's like a holiday themed book. See, that one's Chris Ryall, all Chris Ryall for Gone Fishing. And it looks like he has more. Nope. Okay, so far it looks like Jordan Hart gets 2 stories. I think this is a one-shot anthology of 4, so each gets 2. But it looks like he gets Yep. No. Wow. And he also gets Krampus Slayers. Nice though. Another Krampus image book. Jordan Hart. That's kind of funny because there's a Krampus book that's written not by Jordan Hart. It's a 5-issue miniseries from Image Comics. Now Oni Press, because Brian Hoynes is that's writer. It's joins. That's how it's spelled, like a join with the ES instead of an S. But I say Hoynes. I think it's how I'm supposed to say it. I will always say like Hoynes, but I'll always correct myself. Say it actually join as Hoynes. I'll say either or. But I want to say Hoynes. That's where I'm putting it. That's where I put all my bets in. So Hoynes is into Hoynes. But he did a 5-issue miniseries originally from Image, now from Oni Press. Now I don't know why they can't just stay in one publisher, but it's fine. I got the Image trade, so it's on my Image shelf. It looks fine, unlike how Underground looked for the longest time before I get that Image trade. But anyways, I'm getting a little hard ahead of myself. But that one, it's about Krampus, and it was kind of funny because that's also an Image. It's always funny because Krampus seems to be anyways a not royalty free, but what do you call it? Basically a royalty free public domain. Krampus seems to be a public domain character, so anybody can write a Krampus book. You could write a Krampus comic for any publisher and have it published by any publisher, which I think is pretty cool. But there's Dread the Halls, nice little 4. And it's also, I'm glad I got this one because it's usually with co-authored books, I usually hesitate because I'm like, how much of this book did Jordan Hart write, But I'm glad I got this because it looks like he wrote, well, he did write most of the story, most of the book in here. So it was worth it was worth the added shipping price. I think without it was like $5, so I don't know. I didn't bother checking. All right. Next one is, well, I did. But anyways, you know what I mean. Next one is The Cabinet by Jordan Hart and David Ebeltoft. Very weird last name. Now, very weird last name. Now, this one is 5 issues, and on Image it says it's a 5-issue miniseries. It says 1 of 5, 2 of 5, 3 of 5, 4 of 5, 5 of 5. So I thought this was a miniseries, and I was happy to find out that Jordan Hart and both David and Jordan Hart, or David Ebeltoft and Jordan Hart, had not written anything else for Image. Perfect. Again, except for Dread the Halls. For whatever reason, I thought Jordan Hart had written another 5-issue miniseries. Like it was another whole entire ass trade. And it was, because for the longest time I did not get this book. I could have gotten this book a long time ago, but I didn't because of that reason. I know there was more I had to get, and I was going to wait until, I could afford it, because it was the way that my because this was released back in October, and the way that it was going, I guess you could say, was I couldn't even spare $14.99 for a trade. I had to put that aside for now. And then you add like at least $10 the next one, it adds up. That's $24.99 at that point. There's no way I could spare that much money. But I was wrong. But yeah, this one, again, say 5-issue miniseries, awesome. Yeah, on the back here, it says, The Cabinet Volume 2, coming in 2025. Now, I could end up, and I do want to like this book, say, I spent money on it, I spent money on it, and while it was only $16.99, yeah, it's full price, number one, but, full price, it checks, but, and if I end up liking it, and it's like, okay, there's more coming, awesome, more of what I like is coming out. However, I really like it when a miniseries stays as a miniseries. because most of the time, like for Image, it seems like there's some exceptions, of course, but it seems like mini series are actual mini or maxi series. Like a good example is there's something like Hellboy from Dark Horse. That's like Hellboy, the Crooked Man 1 through 5. But you know that's not all of Hellboy. Even if it's the most recent thing, you know that's more than likely not the last of Hellboy. And then after that, they'll do Hellboy to Hell and Back 1 through 5. They keep doing miniseries. They don't say Hellboy 115 to 120 and then 121 to 125. No, they do Hellboy the Crooked Man 1 through 6 and then Hellboy to Hell and Back 1 through 5 respectively. And yeah, it's first of all it's really confusing because I don't even think down the trades I don't think they even do like volume 245. They just say this is Hellboy the Crooked Man, and you should look at the back of the book to see all the books that came out before. And what sucks is that I think they're all hardcovers now. I don't think they come out as softcovers right away. I could be wrong, but if they come out as hardcovers, well, your comic shop is more than likely going to have it under shrink wrap, so you can't see the back of the book where they have the reading order. They have a reading order on the back of every Hellboy book, which is really nice to have. It really helpful to have in there, but can't do it if it's a hardcover and your comic shop has the shrink wrap on it. But going back to Image, for the most part, a miniseries is a miniseries. Nothing comes out afterwards. And it's like Black Cloak, it's 1 through 6, but it's not a miniseries. Or it starts 1 through 5 for volume 1, and then volume 2 will be 6 to 10. Actually, it's 7 to 11. I think I'm wrong. I think it was 1 through. I think I was right the first time. But you get the point. But yeah, anyways, The Cabinet 1 through 5, Jordan Hart and David Ebeltoft doing the writing. So yeah, they both wrote it. David does the story, but Jordan Hart is a letterer and designer. Chiara Raimondi is a penciler, inker, and colorist. That is very helpful. And it's by Chris Ryall. So they're a nice little team, I guess. It wasn't just Dread the Halls they worked on together. But there's the artwork for The Cabinet. I always call this The Closet. In fact, the first time I looked this book. The first time I looked up this book, it was, I don't know why I was looking it up. I think it was just to find out, find out who the author was, so I could see what they did for Image and like make sure that it's this is all what they have. I actually did The Closet. The Closet is also from Image. It's also a series from Image. It's also a miniseries, an actual miniseries from Image called The Closet. That's written by James Tynion, and that's a great example of something that doesn't need a sequel. Like The Closet ends on a somewhat spoilers. It ends on a cliffhanger, and it's supposed to be a miniseries. It's only 3 issues, and it's a trade. It's only 3 issues. And no news on a volume 2 for that. And I don't have a trade. I got it in floppies. That's how long ago I got that book. I was still getting floppies. That mini series, I was still getting floppies. Back when that first released. And I don't think the soft cover even says on the back, more to come. I think it's just advertising his publishing company, Tiny Onion, if anything. Okay, now for the book that, first of all, was the most recent book to come in, and the one I am the least excited for, and that is The Complete Darkness Volume 3. Now, while I do a little unboxing here, I'm going to explain myself. I'm a completist, and I know for a fact that this is not the last of either the Complete Darkness trades, the complete collections of the Darkness, nor is it all of the Darkness. However, I know that these are somewhat popular in the sense that they can go out of stock. I can't snap my fingers, just imagine you hear a snap like that. So I had to get this ASAP. However, I also was fine with sacrificing it for a month. This came out in December of 2024, and now it is February of 2025. So I waited like 2 months, and I was fine with it. That's right, it's February. There was a something that happened to me, and it's one of those things. I remember the exact date. It was November 14th. not gonna say what it is. You can wait till a live stream with Logan and I, or a live stream with Legion, because I'll tell the whole entire story. If I tell the whole entire story, we'll be here for a long time. We're already clocking in 14 minutes, so we're already long enough. And it'll end up being an hour-long video, because I do need to. It's kind of one of those stories. Gotta go back to the beginning and really you know, catch up everyone's speed. But I was just thinking that the other day. I was like, no, it's been 2 months since that thing happened. Because this month will be, and I was like, oh wait, no, it's February. I just realized that. Right, I just realized that today. This moment. And no, I wasn't thinking that back in January. It was back in February. I want to say at least. Could be wrong though. Again, when you have a job like I do, and you work out of school, the days turn into weeks. Like it's a rut. You're just in a rut, and what happened 2 weeks ago feels like it can also. It's like time is warped. You feel like something that happened 2 weeks ago happened 2 months ago, but something that happened 3 weeks ago feels like it was just yesterday. It is very weird, but I think everyone that is in the same position that I am can relate. But anyways, Complete Darkness Volume 3, Complete Collection. So Darkness issues 41 to 64, The Darkness Infinity, The Darkness Wanted Dead, and The Darkness Black Sails. Now, as I said before, and it's already at Volume 4 solicited, so that's even better. It's not coming out until October, but there's already a Volume 4. Also, this series in Witchblade, at least at first, talked to one another. You could not read Darkness for long without Witchblade being put into the mix. I believe it's there's a sword or something. There's something the entity in the darkness also affects the characters in Witchblade. It's kind of like a Venom symbiote, I think. Again, shows how much I know. Why am I waiting so long to read the Darkness? Well, because I don't like this. I like 90s Image. I'm one of the 5 people who was actually excited to read Youngblood. That would if you guys sent me in the mail the original issues of Youngblood, they're probably worth $1 a pop, so I don't think they're worth anything. Maybe the one that has Prophet in it is worth $10. But if you guys gave me the original run of Rob Liefeld's Youngblood and all of the mini-series and spin-offs or whatever, so it was in chronological order, that would be an amazing comic haul for me, and I'd read it right away. So if you guys want me to read something right away, if you guys want me to read Youngblood, go to your local comic shop and ask them if they have it. Like with Spawn, The Darkness has a lot of issues, and not issues there's no problems, but it has a lot of issues in the run. And there's spin-offs, you saw some one-shots, crossovers. So it's gonna be a long time until I feel completely satisfied with having all the Darkness. I would say I will probably be growing gray hairs before we even get close to getting caught up with the Darkness in the Complete Darkness trades. I do like in the Complete Collection trades. I do like that Volume 4 is coming out relatively soon. In a grand scheme of things, it's Volume 2. It's a long time. It's a long gap between 2 and 3. Not as long as the gap between 3 and 4, which I really appreciate. Same with Witchblade. I feel like it was just yesterday they got Witchblade Volume 3. But yeah, I like collecting all these 90s Image books. Spawn, there's just so many spin-offs, I don't think I ever will. If I find out there's just as many spin-offs as there are for the Darkness, then fine, but I don't think there are. Only one I can think of is Witchblade has a Spawn crossover that Garth Ennis, of all people, did. And it's not collected in any of the Witchblade trades, and I don't think it'll be collected in the most recent one, or the next one, Volume 4. Complete collection. And also, I'll keep getting them in softcover. I started out as softcover. I'm not going to do in between hardcover unless I get a deal on the hardcover, which highly unlikely. So you saw the one that I was the least excited for. Now for the one I'm most excited for, technically, because technically the last one is too. That's the whole reason why, and that is, of all things, the Scary Godmother Compendium, otherwise known as Scary Godmother. This is your childhood. No, it doesn't say compendium. It actually does not say compendium anywhere. But this was your childhood, and a truer statement has never been said. Now, did I watch it every year? I don't think so. But I do have fond memories of watching at my grandmother's house. It was one of the, not with anybody. Usually that was the first thing we would do. We would, of course, I would say when we were younger, we would say hi really quickly. But because it was grown-ups, we were like, no, going to the TV room to watch some TV. And as my sister got older, she's a year older than me, but if you like her maturity levels versus mine back then, and some to now, as far as like where she is in life versus where I am in life, she may as well be 5 years older than me. So when she was like, let's say 10 years old, she would very rarely be with me watching TV. She'd hang out with the grown-ups, try and be one of the grown-ups, talk with my grandmother, talk with the aunts and uncles, actually to know her family better. Would ignore the whole thing in her head and said, you're a kid, they're adults. And it's like, doesn't matter, all rules are off the table, I'm hanging out with them. But for the longest time, literally, quite literally the longest time, I want to say I was at least 15 before I was like, oh, my aunts and uncles can be pretty cool. Just like my cousins can be. But it took me a long time to realize that. But so the longest time, it would be like my grandmother's house. I would be in the TV room, and Scary Godmother around Halloween, they would always show it on Cartoon Network, and I would always catch it. And I think I've watched it all the way through. I want to say I've watched it all the way through, but definitely bits and pieces here and there. I always liked it. I remember it was one of those things like can be captivated, like from the first ever scene. It's completely captivated me. I had a, you know how kids nowadays have awful attention spans? That was me back in the day. I remember making my mother, basically begging my mother to rent Harry Potter, and 2 seconds in I was like, it's not animated, so it's awful. It's not Spider-Man, so it's awful. I don't want to watch it, which is really weird. But back then it was more because I was addicted to Xbox. Like I was always like the smallest of things would get me to want to play Xbox again, and that's what I did. And I regret that immensely. We eventually did watch the Harry Potter movie. It was definitely Deathly Hallows Part 1, specifically. But I think it was just one of those things where it's just like, if I like thought about it, I'd be like, yeah, you know what, on a second thought. But for something like that, that's an hour long. Harry Potter is at the very least 2 hours, so that makes sense. But yes, I'll show the interior artwork. But I realize it's going to be a bit hard to do that because of how big this book is. Alright, so I'm going to do it like this. And you're going to have to pause. Although I'll try to get it like that. So that's as best as I can do with the interior artwork. Damn it. If you want to zoom in, you can zoom in. If you don't have to, you don't want to. Oh, that's another thing I want to mention. Great. Oh, it was $40. Wow, that's a good price. So so before I get into what I was going to say before, still side note, Image Comics, another reason why I've been getting nothing but Image the past 2 years, their pricing is awesome. So the main reason is just I like indies better than the big two. You know, I'm never going to be able to give you guys my top 10 favorite I read a good amount of Spider-Man and X-Men and Batman and Superman, but I don't think I could ever actually do a top 10 Superman books of all time, top 10 Batman, Spider-Man, whatever. I couldn't even say like what's the best one for new readers other than the basic bitch shit like, oh, Ultimate Spider-Man. Oh, just go back to the beginning. It's dated, but go back to the beginning. That's fine. Oh, you can read Kraven's Last Hunt. Not the best jumping on point, but have some like go watch YouTube video that'll catch you up on what was going on at the time. The Alien Costume Saga, same thing there. Actually, Kraven's Last Hunt is in between at the end of Alien Costume. I think at the end. At the end, the Alien Costume Saga. So even better. I would say off the top of my head, the Death of Jean DeWolf I really liked. That's really good. That is like just mature, but also the best of Spider-Man. It gets to the best of like what makes Spider-Man Spider-Man, what makes him so special, so culturally significant, but also is a book that you don't feel you're being talked down to while you're reading it. One of the things I'm going to say before I actually review it is the Nick Spencer Spider-Man. Sometimes I did feel as though I was being talked down to. And that really hurt, and that will hurt the overall rating of the book. But that is that video. But with indies, I can tell you, like, my top 5 is mostly indies. I'm counting Vertigo as an indie. My top 5 is as follows. Preacher, Vertigo. And I'm not going to say Black Label, it's Vertigo. It'll always be Vertigo to me. If it's originally Vertigo, it's originally Vertigo. If it's originally DC Black Label, I'll say DC Black Label. Sin City, Dark Horse. Wicked and Divine, Walking Dead, Image, Wicked and Divine, Image, Paper Girls, Image. So, first of all, most of them for Image. There you go. But it was like the books I really, really liked, the ones that would probably make it into my top 20, a lot of them were from Image Comics. Like a lot of the ones I was like, pick of the week. I really like this one. This one surprised me. It was almost always Image. Sure, some of it was Dark Horse. Vault Comics has one of my favorite comics I've read in the past few years. That was called I Walk with Monsters. But that trade is pretty expensive for a 6-issue miniseries. Pretty thick trade, but it's a pretty fast read. And I think that I think the paper quality is better somewhat. But Image just have like first of all, I've never complained about the paper quality. I never felt like it was less than what it should have been. But yeah, this thick ass trade that's longer, it's wider and longer than your average Image trade. It's like a compendium. It's only $40. That's insane. This one is also $40, right? Yeah, I know it is. No, it's $30. Oh my god, this is a trade too. This is $30. $30 for what I didn't know how many pages it is. It said on the book itself. 608 on the order itself. 680 pages for the complete darkness. That is insane. And it's only $30. If that was from Marvel, it would somehow be $100 soft cover. And no, it would be. It would be more like $50 soft cover. Then $60 soft cover, and then $100. Maybe even 125 because of inflation. 125 hardcover. $125 hardcover. And yeah, with like omnibuses, they're always oversized in the big two, and it's a gamble for everyone else. But Image just like it just overall, I like them a lot. Okay, so the other thing I was gonna mention is a long-winded explanation. So next book, I'll show the last book. And that is Robert Wimberly's Prince of Cats. I'm gonna assume he also has the artwork, because I wasn't seeing anything on anything. I wasn't seeing anything on artist. And usually when there's only one name there, that's what it means. So yeah, definitely a long video. 30 minutes going over like 6 books. That goes to show. I'm gonna show their page the artwork. I thought that was too quick. This goes to show how much I was prattle on and stuff. I don't mind it, and I hope you guys don't mind it either. I like these longer videos where I get to like discuss things, because sometimes I'll get a comment. That's exactly what happened this time. It was one of the last videos I made, so I want to mention it now. I don't know who it was off the top of my head, so that's the only reason why I'm not saying anything of who it was or whatever. Yeah, of course, there's the adage of keeping it secret who it was, and like keeping their identity secret and all that shit. But I don't think they'd mind, because it's a public comment. You weren't being private about it unless there's a DM. If it's a DM, it'd be different. But he said something along the lines of, you should show more of the book when you're showing the artwork. And actually, I'm going to pull up exactly what the phrase was. And that goes to no offense to this guy, but that definitely makes it obvious that this kid is a new fan of mine, a new subscriber. And actually, I think actually he was. It said new subscriber, and he made a comment. All right, so show a bit more book each better while still talking. Now, I can't watch it. I can't watch X video. Sorry, I could. What video was it? So it was a very different comic haul. First of all, my pupils were dilated, so it was a bit harder for me to see. It was a cosmetic thing. It's like, hey, my pupils are dilated. First time I would ever record myself while they're dilated. So it probably did show a little bit weird. But I think he was also trying to say, like, show a bit more of the book in general. So this is what I do when I'm doing my comic hauls. So I'm gonna do it with Prince of Cats. So I will say, next book up is Prince of Cats, written and drawn by by Ronald. Oh, I keep saying Robert. Okay, so I'll do it again. So this is my comic haul. I'll say Prince of Cats, written and drawn by Ronald Wimberly. And then if it collected issues, I would say this book collects issues 1 through 7 of Prince of Cats. And then I will show the artwork of 1 page. Usually just 1 page, like this. This is what I do. The reason why it's just that one time doing that is because I don't want to spoil anything. I don't want to say, because let's say it's a 6-issue miniseries, and at the end of issue 1, Romeo dies, and it shows it right at the bat, end of issue 1. Now what? Now I just spoiled it, and if it's a long ass video like this, I'm not gonna want to go through either the pain of editing it out or starting from scratch. Because the way that YouTube edits, I may as well start from scratch. A lot less of a headache. Somehow. So that is my explanation for that. I don't want to spoil anything, and also sometimes I have a bunch of books to show off. This video, it was only 6, and 2 of them don't tell. One of them doesn't count as a comic, and one's a floppy. Because when I say comic haul, I mean graphic novel haul, collected editions haul, But yeah, and that's what I do. I just show one page of the a 2-page little spread there. That's all I do. So just that one time, just in case, because I don't want to spoil anything. Now there could be when it happens like on page 19 out of 23 of issue 1 as a spoiler, and I accidentally show that off, and still be if that happens. But usually I'll try and do it towards the beginning of the book, like within the first 10 pages. And that's what I do, because I still want to show the interior artwork, but I don't want to make it an overview. And of course, and also if I have a stack of 40 books to go over, and I need to discuss a significant note of them, like say, oh, Lazarus, I've read this before, I really liked this book, but the reason why I bought it myself is because, even though the library had it, number one, they didn't have the full entire series, and even though they do, I wanted to own it in my PC, because I like this book and author so much, I want to support them. That usually will happen. I'll have more to say. If there was shipping issues with one book, sometimes I'll discuss that. Honestly, the last 2 times I forgot to mention it. Only real shipping issues was with Prince of Cats. It was that day we had a huge snowstorm here in our state, and they couldn't get the driveway. Because you see how big this book is. Can this fit inside the mailbox? No, it cannot. I can barely fit this inside the parameters of the aspect ratio. They put it like this, almost. But that, as I say, is that 32-minute long video. I'm going to end it now. I should not keep saying it like that, because that said something like bad out of context. Ha ha ha, very funny. How edgy of me.